It's late at night and I feel like cooking. So Nate and I always watch a cooking show whenever we're eating together, just because it kind of like enhances the experience of eating. So of course we watched Culinary Wars recently and we were obsessed. It's just such a good cooking show. If you haven't watched it, where have you been? And also go watch it. I think even people who don't normally watch cooking shows will enjoy it just because of how they gamified it. It's definitely different from any other cooking show that I've seen. But as well, if you love Korean food, there are so many mouth-watering recipes in this show. So today I thought I would recreate some of them in a 3-course meal. So for the appetizer, I'm gonna do the popular mala cream dim sum by Chef Jung Ji Sun. And then for the main, I'm gonna make the tuna bibimbap by Chef Edward Lee. And then for the dessert, I'm gonna do the chestnut tiramisu by Chef Kim Song Jun. I hope I'm pronouncing their names right. But they're all quite popular recipes from the show. I am also gonna put my own little spin on it because partially due to my skill level and also due to practicality, because I am just cooking for myself. I am not gonna be hand toasting seaweed or anything like that. But I did find base recipes online from other creators who've tried to recreate these recipes. So I'm definitely gonna link them and show them in the video, but I'm also gonna make some little adjustments just to make my life a bit easier. So hopefully if it goes well, you can also make it at home too. Now, before I get started cooking, I'd like to thank AliExpress for sponsoring this video. I just got a few things from the Double 11 sale and it's their biggest sale of the year. It's on now from now to December 4th, so make sure to check it out. I first got myself a new set of cookware because all my pans were scratched up, and you know what they say about nonstick pans being scratched up, so I got a new set. What I particularly love about this set is the detachable handles and how easy it is to store. Although I have a big kitchen, pots with handles is just such an awkward thing to store, and I always wanted pots with detachable handles that I could just use on all my pots, and then while you're cooking you can just remove it so you don't knock anything over. It is also this beautiful off-white that I really love. It can be used on all types of stoves, from electric to induction to microwave ovens, even to gas stoves. And it also comes with different lids for storage, so you can just directly cook, cool, and store in the fridge. I also got something I've been wanting for a while now, a little matcha tea set. Honestly, like, I've been looking at matcha bowls, just the bowl, in like little shops, and they're so expensive. And I wouldn't say I'm a matcha connoisseur. Like, I make matcha occasionally, I enjoy it, but I'm not going to be spending 50 pounds on a bowl. So I really love that it comes with a set. I've been also wanting one of these whisk holders because it's just really awkward to put the whisk back in the plastic after, and it just feels like it's not drying properly. So this will allow the whisks to dry properly on the holder, and they're both beautiful ceramic and so affordable. So definitely a great starter matcha kit. During the Double 11 sale, you can get up to 80% off items with free returns and also free shipping over £8 on choice items. They've also given me discount codes that you can use to get even more discounts, so I'll pop that on screen and also in the description for you to copy easily. They're all valid from November 8th to December 4th. There's also a special feature on the app that if you shake it, you'll get a special coupon that you can get additional discounts with. Lastly, AliExpress also launched an event called Team Up. So if you click the link in the description and join my team, you can get additional cash back on your purchases. All right, let's get cooking. For the mala cream shrimp dim sum, I'm gonna start by making the cream sauce. I'm gonna mince 1 shallot and 2 cloves of garlic. I tried to make it as small as possible there, but when I was cooking, I actually realized you don't need to because we're just gonna strain it out after. Now I'm gonna grab a small pan for the sauce. Look how easily that just clips on. You're gonna wanna cook the shallot and garlic in a cold pan with oil and slowly bring it up to temperature. While that's cooking, I'm gonna dice up some water chestnuts. So in the actual recipe, she uses lotus root, but lotus root is so expensive here and I've never prepared it before, so I just didn't think it was worth it for me to get, and I had to get a large quantity. So water chestnuts will give you the same texture.
Now I'm preparing the oil for deep frying. This is actually my first time ever deep frying at home. Yeah, I've never done it before just because it felt like such a waste of oil. Now that the shallots and garlic are brown, you're gonna add some Shaoxing wine to kind of deglaze the pan. Once the alcohol is burned off, you can add in your heavy cream. Now this is where I'm going to hack it a little. So in this recipe, usually people make the mala oil first, but I am going to cheat and just use lao gama because one, I am too lazy to prepare oil and get all the spices for the mala oil, but two, I also don't like the mala flavor and I don't like the numbing spice, so this is like a good hack if you also don't like the numbing spice. I was originally just going to use the oil from the lao gama, but I realized I actually ran out of the oil, or like there was very little in there, so I just put 2 good spoonfuls into the sauce. Now bring it to a simmer, stirring the cream constantly and just allow it to thicken up a bit. Once it's a bit thicker, add in a tablespoon of butter. Once that's melted, you can taste it now to see if it's spicy enough, if you need more oil, or if you need to add more salt. Now you just want to get it to the right consistency, but don't overcook it or else it will split. Just gonna strain out the bits from the sauce so we get a creamy sauce. I'm literally just using my matcha strainer. You can probably use a much larger strainer and do this all in one batch, but we're just taking out all the chunks, and all the chunks from the lao gama also will come out with it, so you'll get a nice orange smooth sauce. Now for the filling, this is where another hack is going to come in. Instead of buying shrimp and dicing it, I am just going to use hot pot shrimp paste. So this shrimp paste you can commonly find in a lot of Asian grocery stores in the hot pot section. Usually people use it to make fish balls to put in their hot pot, but it's perfect to use for this. So I'm going to add that to a bowl with the water chestnuts and some green onions. For the seasoning, I'm going to add soy sauce, Shaoxing wine, sugar, white pepper, salt, and a bit of cornstarch. And mix it well to combine. After it's all combined, you'll want to refrigerate it for 30 minutes. While we're waiting for the shrimp paste to cool, we're going to prepare the spring roll wrappers. So you can lay about 5 of them together and cut it. And I am no triple star with my cutting here. I definitely should have cut it way thinner. I didn't look at the video beforehand. So yeah, you could definitely go a little bit thinner with this, but I think you need quite a good knife to go really, really thin. Although I don't think it impacts the texture too much. It was still good either way. And I did 2 patches with 10 wrappers because I was just planning to make 1 portion. Okay, once the shrimp paste has cooled and you're ready to form them, oil your hands so that they don't stick, and then you can just grab a chunk and form it into balls. I would recommend doing a little smaller balls than I done here because I think it would help it cook faster. So I formed the shrimp paste balls first just so I use up all the paste that I made. And then afterwards I rolled around a bit in the shredded wrappers and just kind of tossed it around in my hands so that there was no sticky surfaces. Now we're ready to deep fry, and to be honest, I was a bit scared. I used the trick of using a little wooden fork I had to test when the oil was ready, and when I saw continuous bubbles coming up around the fork, I knew the oil was ready, but I think it might have been a little too hot actually, because when I put in my first batch, one, I think I cooked it maybe a bit too long. You're supposed to cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes, and it might have burnt a little. They're a bit too brown. So for the second batch of the 2 balls, I put it in for much less time, just for when they were golden. Now we're ready to plate. So I just put a little dollop of the cream sauce on the plate, and since I really only had 2 good ones, I just used those 2 to plate. Now I'm going to plate the dim sum on top with a little bit of spring onion, and we're done.
All right, time to taste test the first dish. Only 2 came out right, because the first 3 I think I went too far with the deep frying. Like this is my first time deep frying anything, so I thought this color was right when I was deep frying, but obviously a bit burnt. These ones I put in for less time, but I was afraid that the shrimp paste wouldn't cook. Okay, let's give it a try. I also think my sauce was a little not thick enough. Wow, it's really good actually. And the lao gan ma goes so well with actually the shrimp. I think I probably could cook it a bit longer, but that's actually so good. Wow. I'm gonna need a little pot of the sauce because the amount on the plate is not enough. I'm slightly suspicious it's not cooked through. Let me try one of the burnt ones because these ones are definitely cooked. Like, I might have made them too thick so they can't cook through in the, well, let's give it a try. Okay, now I think the shrimp is cooked through, but then maybe I put too much cornstarch. Either way, it's really good. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna finish this up, but I need to start making the next dish.
For the tuna bibimbap, most importantly, cook your rice, and then we can move on to prepping the vegetables like for a normal bibimbap. I'm gonna chop some mushroom. I picked oyster. I'm also gonna dice 1 white onion. I'm also gonna chop 1 pickled daikon, and this is actually what I'm gonna use instead of the egg in the middle, just because I don't know if I can eat the raw eggs here in the UK. So I'm going to use that as a replacement, and I also like a bit of a tangy crunch in my bibimbap. I'm going to slice up the tuna sashimi that I got from Japan Center. And now all the prep is done. So the first thing I'm going to do is just blanch the spinach. I kind of forgot to film it here, but you know, we all know how to blanch spinach. Boil water, add spinach for a minute, and then drain the spinach and take out all the water that you can. And to that, you just want to add garlic, sesame oil, and some salt to season it. Next, fry up the mushroom and the garlic. I just fried it up with a bit of salt. Okay, and then we're ready to assemble. So on a cling film, put your rice in the middle. I honestly made this ball way too big, but it was fine. You can make it big for this one. So I flattened it in a circular shape, and then I put my onion and mushroom mixture flat in the middle, leaving some room at the sides so that I could fold it together. And then in the middle of that, I put the seasoned spinach. And then in the center, I put a little pickled daikon radish. Now we can just take up all the corners of the cling film and form it into a ball. I put a little pressure on all sides and twisted the cling film to make sure that everything was kind of sticking together nicely and that it won't fall apart in the fryer. And next, just drop in the oil. I definitely didn't have enough oil in the pot, but it was totally fine. I left it for about a minute and then flipped it to the other side so all sides got nice and crispy. When it's done, take it out of the oil and put it on a paper towel just to drain any excess oil that might be on the rice. Now we can make the tuna outer. So just take a piece of cling film and put some tuna sashimi laid in a circular shape, and put another cling film on top, and use a little, so I think they recommend using some kind of meat hammer, but I honestly just used a normal hammer and covered it with a clean kitchen towel and flatten the tuna. You could honestly do it with anything. The tuna is so soft. And I also did not buy enough tuna sashimi, so in the show he definitely wrapped the whole rice ball into the sashimi, but I really only had enough to cover the top bit here. So I just put the rice ball in the middle and flipped it, so we got a little tuna sashimi hat on this rice ball. And to plate it is super easy. I'm actually not even going to make the gochujang sauce. I have some hotjang, this sauce pre-made in my fridge that I like to use for cold noodles, and I thought it would go perfectly with this. So I just used a bit of that in the center, and then I placed the rice ball on top, or the bibimbap on top, and garnished it with some unnecessary little microgreens. And now it's ready to eat.
Alright, we're back with the second dish. Ooh. I am going to use a knife and cut a slice out of it because it is actually quite hard because I deep fried the rice, but it smells really good. And honestly, I feel like you can't go wrong with this. Let's give that a try. Hard to eat like this. The judge was right. It's probably easier to just put this into a bowl and actually mix it up. Ooh. Look at that bite. Mmm. Mmm. Wow. The crunchy rice is so good. I definitely made mine a bit thick, the rice layer, and the whole ball a bit thick, but I think this is actually a good dinner portion. And this goes well with it. I had some extra. And I think the egg could make it creamier and nicer. I think when I was younger in China, I ate quail eggs, but then since I haven't ate it in so long, I can't remember what it tastes like or eating it raw. I don't know. So I always just thought to play it safe. But that is so good. This is almost like a reverse dosol bibimbap where the outer layer is when it like gets crunchy from like the stone pot. The inside is like the actual outside. Really good and goes really well with the tuna actually. This tuna was expensive, but worth it. Wow, 2 for 2. These recipes are really good. I mean, I think I simplified it as much as I can. I think it's just the deep frying that is actually a lot of work. Other than that, like with the shrimp paste hack and everything, it's pretty easy. It's not too hard to make. I was gonna make the dessert tonight, but to be honest, it's getting kind of late, so I'm gonna eat this for dinner and I'll make dessert tomorrow. Alright, it's a new day. I am gonna finally make the last item, which is the tiramisu. But before that, let's make a matcha. Let's get started on the tiramisu.
Alright, finally dessert. The chestnut tiramisu, you're going to want to boil some cooked chestnuts with some milk. So you can find cooked chestnuts in a lot of Asian grocery stores. And I just let it simmer for about 5 minutes. Before I added the chestnuts into the blender, separate from the milk at first, was adding the milk slowly little by little to make sure I get the right consistency. I think I used about 2/3 of the milk. I probably could have used half though. It did come out a bit runnier. So just slowly watch it and add milk little by little. Now you're going to want to let this cool before you add it to anything else, so I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag and place it in the freezer while I prep the rest of the puree. So another thing I don't have is an electric whisk, so this recipe calls for whipped cream and I do not have any. So I googled and you could apparently whip cream by placing it into a bottle, so today I'm going to give that a try. You just want to cool the bottle and cool the cream, so I placed both in the freezer for about 10 minutes and added the sugar into the cream. And I basically shook it for a good, I want to say 5 to 10 minutes. I actually ended up separating this into 2 different bottles just because the more air in the bottle, the faster it will whip, since it's just incorporating the air into the cream. And surprisingly, it kind of worked. Like, it got really thick actually. Now to the bowl, I'm going to add the cream cheese and the puree from the freezer. I'm going to give that a good mix to just get everything combined before I add in my quote-unquote whipped cream and fold it into the puree. Now, this probably would be much thicker and better if the cream was actually whipped, but it was still an okay consistency. For the biscuit, I just got some digestive cookies, and surprisingly, I actually found toffee nut latte in my grocery store. I didn't even know this was a flavor, but in the recipe that I found online, it actually called for that, so I'm like, okay, great. So I just soaked the biscuit in the latte while I started layering in these dessert cups. But pretty simple, just 1 layer of cookie with a layer of cream with another layer of cookie. I tried to fill up as much space as possible in the cup because I had quite a wide cup, and this is definitely a 2 people portion. For the last layer of cream, I just flattened it out with a dinner knife. And now for the toppings, I put this dairy milk chocolate bar just in the freezer earlier today, and I actually don't have a microplane or whatever grater that they use in the TV shows, so I'm actually using a garlic grater that I found randomly. I gave it a good wash, and it worked pretty well to create this kind of like little chopped chocolate bits. I also grated a bit of extra chestnuts I had to have on top, and it was just kind of like a nice mix of color, and put a little half chestnut to top it off.
All right, Nate's here. We're gonna try the tiramisu. Let's see.
Let's try this.
Oh, it's thick. I don't really taste the chestnut. Maybe I didn't put enough sugar. Probably a smaller bowl would be fine, but I think I didn't put like the amount of sugar I recommended. All right, this one, not worth the time and effort.
Was it a lot of effort?
Mm-hmm. And I think I used like the UK cream cheese, but maybe if I used the American cream cheese. Anyways, that's it for this video.
Skylines paint the night, spinning our favorite songs, holding you tight,